Hey guys, I'm Saumya and in today's video I'm going to talk about the books that I read in the month of August. On my channel Saumya's Bookstation, I spread all the book love that I can, so if you are a reader or are considering beginning the habit of reading, you should definitely hit that subscribe button and also do not forget to press the bell icon so that every time I post a video you get notified. The first book is My Not So Perfect Life by Sophie Kinsella. So this is a book that I had been meaning to read since last year and I read this book only in August. You know, this is what happens with a reader when you have an overwhelming TBR pile. You end up taking months to pick up a book that you really want to read. So My Not So Perfect Life is a story of a 26-year-old girl named Katie Brenner who lives in London and has a job there. She has this super cool Instagram feed, but her London job is not really glamorous. It's a lowly admin job and her commute is nightmarish. But Katie really wants to live this London life, so she holds her life together, or at least tries to, but then one day she is given the sack. She is jobless, so she returns to Somerset to help her dad in his glamping business. So Katie obviously faces a lot of challenges, but she always envies her boss who seems to have a perfect life. But is her boss's life as perfect as it seems to be? Overall, I really like the book, but it is the second half of the story that I recommend you guys to pick this book up for, because the second half of the story is the one where it really picks up the pace in terms of everything that happens in Katie's life. Her life becomes much more entertaining to read about and more colorful. The entire book is written very well in general. It's a breezy read, as all Sophie Kinsella books are. Personally, I found Katie's character inspiring as well because of how hard she works and how much she wants to make her dream come true. The next book is A Flight of Pigeons by Ruskin Bond. So this novella is actually based on true events which happened during the revolt of 1857. So this story is taking place in Shahjahanpur. So Ruth Labrador is a 13-year-old British girl whose father is a clerk in British magistrate's office, but he gets killed in an attack by sepoys. So Ruth and her mother and a few other members of their household manage to escape being killed, but then every plan of theirs goes haywire when Ruth and her mother are kidnapped by a Pathan named Javed Khan. He is passionately in love with a 13-year-old Ruth. So Ruth and her mother live in his house for many months before the British recapture Delhi. So this is a really fascinating book to read because of the kind of story. This is also, since it's based on true events, so when you read the story, you kind of get to read about the mindsets of people during 1857, so that is an added appeal to the book. Another thing about this book is that it is written in a very straightforward sort of a manner. The general poetry and the romance that a Ruskin Bond book has is something that you do not get to read in this book, but then that's because it's actually a novella narrating the events that really took place. So I understand that. So there is a movie that has been made on this book, which is a 1978 film called Junoon, which I would really like to watch because I really like this book. Next book is Enquiria Lumen of Breda by Sarang Mahajan. This is the first book in the Enquiria series and the genre of this book is fantasy thriller. I have done a review of this book on my channel. You can check it out. I'll leave the link in the description box. So in this story, dark forces want the 17-year-old Leuven dead, but why do they want him dead is something that we don't know, but some dark conspiracy is taking place and killing Leuven is the first step. So in this story, we read about a 17-year-old boy named Leuven and his 19-year-old sister named Meg, who try to escape the danger which is always at their heels. But for how long is this going to go on? For how long must they run? The answer to this question is that they do not really know how far they must run, but if they stop, they are surely going to die. I really enjoyed reading this book. It has a lot of suspense, lots of twists and turns, lots of questions are answered, new questions are raised, and this book leaves the reader with sufficient cliffhangers. The next book is The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F by Mark Manson. So this is a wildly popular self-help book and I've reviewed this book on my channel. I'll leave the link to that review in the description box if you would like to check it out. So in this book, the author has talked about how we should not worry about every little thing in our lives. The author has pushed forward the same message by discussing various aspects of life. He has talked about how it is okay to feel bad sometimes because feeling bad is a part of life. This is one of the aspects that he has discussed among many others. Overall, what works for this book is that it has a friendly vibe and it has pushed forward its argument in a very chatty and an informal manner. So that doesn't make it sound preachy at all. But at the same time, I can't help but feel that a lot of hype surrounds this book. Claiming that this book offers something completely unconventional and and out of the box is something that I did not understand because it doesn't really offer anything out of the ordinary, but it has been written well. The next book is Chicken Soup for the Indian Bright Soul. So I read the book from the Chicken Soup series literally after a lifetime. Sometimes the stories in this book are not really stories, they are just small snippets of experiences that people share, and that is what makes this book so special because it has a very raw appeal in terms of the chapters that it consists of. But this particular edition of Chicken Soup is centered around Indian brides and Indian marriages. So this book has a very Indian vibe and a very Indian feel to it. So when you pick up a book from the Chicken Soup series, you don't pick it up for the beauty of the language or anything like that. You just pick it up to read the experiences of common people. That was my aim to read this book, and I must say I loved every bit of it. The next book is Tin Man by Sarah Winman. This is the story of two boys, Michael and Ellis, and a woman that walks into their life. Her name is Annie, and how their lives changes after that. So Michael and Ellis share a really special bond with each other and they grow up together. So this is a story about friendship, love, loss, forgiveness, loneliness. The pace of the story is really slow, and a lot of the story is about remembering the past and how life changes completely and how you grow lonely. You lose people that you love, but they always stay with you, and how true friendships never really die. Kind of story that makes you sad, but you feel relaxed also because of the way this has been written. The next book is The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. So this is the story of a 16-year-old Holden who is narrating the events that took place before the previous Christmas. So Holden comes from a wealthy family and he keeps failing in the subjects in his school, so he has to keep changing schools, but he doesn't really care about that. Holden's character is that of somebody who is really lonely and he's also depressed. He makes a lot of judgments about other people which are quite harsh. We get to read about the world from his perspective. I personally found Holden's observations of the world around him to be very amusing to read, and also there is another thing that I felt when I read this book, which is what his character feels is a very extreme version of what I sometimes feel in my life, so that's why I was able to relate to him at some level. The next book is P.S. I Still Love You by Jenny Han. This is the second book in To All the Boys I've Loved Before trilogy. This is a cute sequel to an adorable story. So the story of Lara Jean and Peter Kavinsky moves forward in this book, but Lara Jean's life gets much more complicated when another boy to whom she wrote a love letter comes back in her life. So even though P.S. I Still Love You is an entertaining and a cute story, but I liked it a little less than I liked To All the Boys I've Loved Before. There were some other books that I picked up, but I couldn't quite finish them in August, so I'll talk about them in my September wrap-up. One of them is Persuasion. I'm almost done with it, but then I think I'll talk about it once I'm completely done with it. And the other one is River of Smoke by Amitav Ghosh, which is the second book in the Ivy's trilogy. By the end of August, I just started it, so I was obviously not able to finish it. So that was my August wrap up. Tell me in the comment section about the books that you read in August. I would love to hear from you guys. That was it for today's video. If you want to connect with me on my social media, the links are in the description box. I'll see you in my next video. Till then, bye bye.